Myself Satish, I'm heading training department for EMRA and program management for Modular Ambulance Services also. Today I am here with my team to conduct first responder training. It is going to be full day. First half we are going to take theory, second half is going to be all practical. Okay, before I start I wanted to introduce my team to you all. Srinivas, please come in. We have Srinivas Patel. He is emergency call center manager and is helping us in this training programs also. And Pooja Mohite, one of the instructors. And three more people are there. They are yet to come. Okay, I'll introduce as and when they come, they reach the venue. Okay. Now, how many of you have attended any sort of first responder training before? Anybody? Any trainings related to first aid or CPR? Anybody? You attended? CPR. You are from which college? So today, we are going to have first aid, and that CPR is also part of it. Nowadays, post-COVID, sudden cardiac arrest, sudden cardiac arrest is happening everywhere. It is not only related to age or something, even youngsters are facing it. So we ask to know what to do if somebody have this cardiac arrest. If somebody collapses in front of you, see, what will be your first reaction if somebody collapses? What will be your first reaction? In general, that's panic. Everybody will be panic, and few people will think and call for help. But nobody will go there and check the patient. Nobody will go there. Yes, calling for help is a very, very important. Should call for help, but there is a time. Once you die, it will take 10 to 15 minutes to come. Any ambulance or any help will come within that time. So within that time, what best can be done to revive the patient? Those things we are going to discuss today, and we are going to concentrate on. We are going to concentrate more on risk-free techniques. Okay? People want to help. We all want to help somebody. The intention is there, but at times you don't have the right technique. The technique is very important. Do's and don'ts. In any scenario, there will be do's and don'ts. Which is more important, do's or don'ts? What do you think? Oh, but most important is don't. Even if you cannot help, don't harm the patient. First rule of first responder is do no harm. You cannot help, fine, because we are not doctors. We are just trying to help them out. But do no harm. Never harm the patient because of you. You should not face more trouble or you should not face more pain. That is the first rule. For that reason, don'ts are very important, and those are also important to save them. These things we are going to cover today. Okay. How many of you heard about the golden hour? Golden hour concept. Anybody? The crowd? Everybody is okay with English? The mandatory question should be asked. Otherwise, at the end of the day, will be said, I didn't understand anything. That should not be the case. You can speak in Hindi, also Konkani. Okay. If you require, you can ask others. Marathi also. If you have two more instructors are there, they can speak Marathi. Okay. Tell me, what is golden hour? Okay. Before that, what is emergency? What is emergency? What is emergency? As mic is required. Not audible without mic. Okay. I'm just checking. That's right. Okay. What is emergency? What is emergency? Immediate help required. Help given will be first aid. Immediate help required. That situation is emergency. What else? More answers. We use this word emergency in different contexts. We use this word. In general English, we use the word emergency. What do you mean by the word emergency? SOS. Okay. And what else? Voice.
Quick response.
Quick response. Fantastic. Quick response is required. Emergency is a personal perspective. Personal perspective. One situation is emergency to me. That doesn't mean it is emergency to everybody else. It all depends on your personal capability. Personal capability, knowledge and skills. Till what extent you can control that situation, you can handle that situation. That is going to decide. Once it is beyond your capabilities, you will feel you need help. That time you should call for help. That is called emergency call. The situation where you don't know what to do. The situation where you don't know what to do. What is the next course of action? What should I do now? You are stuck. That situation is called emergency. No need to be like only medical related. No need to be only health related. It could be anything. It's a sudden event basically. Emergencies don't happen by giving intimation. It won't happen like that. It happens suddenly. None of us know what is going to happen in the next moment. Emergencies might happen anywhere to anybody. In that situation, luckily we have ambulance services available. We have hospitals around the state of Goa. You find hospital everywhere. If you go to bigger states, it's very difficult. But here at least people have hospital facilities. But still, there is one important link which is missing. One important link which is missing is first responder. People should know what to do, what not to do. The community should play a very, very important role in saving lives. They are not expecting you to do operations. They are not expecting you to do bigger things. Simple, very, very simple things also could save lives. Those things we are going to discuss here today. Then, the immediate help given to the person who is injured or ill is called first aid. Okay, first aid, first help. Before any professional help arrives, before any ambulance services arrive, and before any doctor arrives, till that time whatever we do is called first aid. First aid, that doesn't mean only treatment. You don't have to do some hands-on thing. It is just reassurance also. Being with the patient, calling for help, giving them that reassurance. But don't worry, you'll be fine. We already called for ambulance. We are going to reach hospital within 15 minutes. I already spoke to the doctor. Everything is set. Everybody is waiting for you. Relax. You will be normal. These kind of reassurance is important. When you speak, you need to speak with the confidence. The person should accept it. The person should trust you. Then automatically his condition will be better. Okay. By taking tension, by taking stress, simple things can become complicated. Especially when it comes to health. Okay, you need to give that reassurance part. Only by giving reassurance also at times you can save that life. And whenever there is a bleeding, any fractures, anything else, those minor things we are going to teach you all how to act. Okay? Yeah, I asked you all about golden hour. What is golden hour? Sorry? Okay, do first thing first quickly. That is fine, but I am asking you about that golden hour. First 1 hour. First 1 hour. First, yeah.
Is it the first hour of the trauma?
Exactly. Very good. First 1 hour after that accident. First 60 minutes. First 60 minutes is called golden hour. Whatever happened in this first 60 minutes is going to decide the fate of the patient, whether he is going to be alive or dead. Okay. Anybody, first responder, ambulance services, hospital, emergency departments, casualty, what we call, should work within this 1 hour time. If we actually want to save the life of the patient, it should happen within 1 hour. If after 1 hour, even after 1 hour, patient is still lying on the road, is still bleeding, then the chances of death will improve. Chances of death will increase. Minor injuries can lead to death if it is not treated. Minor bleeding can lead to death also if it is continuously going. Blood loss should be avoided immediately. This is called golden hour. And first 10 minutes, out of these 60 minutes, first 10 minutes is called platinum 10 minutes. This is where first responder comes into picture. This is where you will get some opportunity to do something. The first 10 minutes, as soon as something happens, if something goes wrong, immediately who is going to help you? Who is going to be your rescuer? Who will help you? Person right next to you, whoever it may be. Person right next to you, you are here now. You are usually going to any shopping mall, you are going to your workplace, theatre. There are so many unknown people around. You don't move around with the paramedics, or doctors, or ambulance leaders. Okay, here hello. If something goes wrong, the person next to you at that moment is going to save you up. If he knows the technique. Okay, he could be the patient and he could be rescuer also. You should be prepared. It's not that I know him, I will help him. If I don't know him, I am not going to help. It's not like that. If you can help, please try to help everyone. Okay. The person next to you is going to be your rescuer for the same reason we are all conducting this kind of trainings. Everybody should be capable of handling emergencies. Okay, nobody knows. For example, out of these many people, maybe 10 people are confident enough to handle the situation. That is also success for us at the end of the day. I am not saying everybody will get that kind of confidence in single day. Every human being will have their own limitations. There are limitations. Person who cannot handle blood, person who cannot get somebody's pain. We are very few people are very sensitive. I am not expecting you all to handle if you cannot go there, stand and look at the patient. If you are looking at the blood, if you are getting fainted, there is no point. You should not enter. You should not enter it. You should not become second patient. Okay, already one patient is there. You just enter to help and you got fainted. Then we have a second patient also. That should not happen. Everybody should know their own limitation. I don't know. For me, all 80 people are same. I am teaching the same thing to everybody. Whether you people can do it or not, you people listen. No force, nothing. It is a voluntary job. Voluntary job. If you want, you can. If you don't want, if you cannot, please don't. There is no force. Okay. In India, we have how much population? Population of India? It is 130 crores and it's still counting. So in that population, 75,000 emergencies are happening in random day. Okay, annual deaths are 40 lakhs and 80% of them are emergencies. Okay, if it is an emergency, there is a scope for first responder. If it is an emergency, there is a scope for first responder. You can go ahead and do something and try to save few of those and most of those. Okay, you can try to save those many lives. For that reason, we are sitting here to discuss about first aid. This is a definition of emergency, technical definition. You will get this write it down if you want to. You don't have to remember all these concepts should be very clear. The situation where you need help, where you feel like calling for help, that is emergency. No matter what other things happen. Okay, if somebody asks you for help, never judge. Baba, for small things why you are calling for help, ambulance. For small things why you need help. It is small thing for you, not for the patient. Emergency is always emergency to that specific person, not to the rescuer. For us, it's a simple situation where we can help. Okay, don't judge. You should not like Baba. This fellow is doing some extra. It is a very small. For example, let me explain. How many of you work in kitchen like cutting vegetables and most of you? At least this side I can see so many people. So if by mistake you cut your finger, what will you do? Little, not much. What will you do? What will be your immediate reaction? What will you do? Wow. got cut. She stops everything. She go to the hospital, multi-specialty hospital, and that day she will take rest. The things are different. Same injury, the person is different. How they are taking that emergency, taking that situation is also different. You don't bother much. You just something, and we start working again. That's how it is. It is a mindset and perspective of we are looking at the situation. You can never check. That's how people are different. You cannot go and tell her that this is a very small thing why you are making noise. Small thing for you, not for her. Okay, this is how emergency works. And in that situation, you should call for help. It could be related to your health, life, property, and our order of life. Okay. First aid definition we already discussed. Immediate care given to the victim of illness or injury before any professional medical help arrives. Okay. And what are the aims of today's session? What we are going to achieve today? What you are expecting from this session? It is 3 P's. P. Preserve life. You are trying to learn to save somebody's life. Then prevent worsening of condition. You are going to prevent worsening of condition. Accident happened, fractured, everything is there. Now you cannot change anything, but you can make sure that his injury is not worsened because of you. You are going to take care of his injury and promote speedy recovery. When I talk about recovery, it is admission time at hospital. None of us want to get admitted in hospital. Okay. If you apply proper techniques, the hospital stay time will be reduced. You will go back home soon. Okay. If it is a minor fracture, after 6 days, you will be sent home. If it is a major fracture, you have to be in the hospital. Okay. It all depends on first aid. Wrong technique can increase his injury, increase his damage. Rules of first aid must rule, as I already told you all, do no harm. Do no harm. You should remember this. If you cannot help, absolutely fine. If you cannot do anything to save them, if you cannot do anything to reduce their pain, that is absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. But don't increase their pain. Don't trouble them. Don't experiment on the patient. Okay. And you need to reach the accident spot quickly. If accident happened on road, to help, you should go there. See EMS emergency medical services. When I use the word scene, that means the place where accident happened. The place where your patient is there. That is your scene on the road. Before entering into the scene and approaching the patient, you should make sure that safety factor. Whose safety is important for you? Whose safety is important? Okay, ask you like this. How many of you think patient safety is first priority? How many of you think, raise your hands, how many of you think patient safety is first priority? Okay, most of the experts think like that. This side, patient is your first priority. What about you? What about your safety? Are you going to enter any building in a fire accident? Now we are safe here, absolutely. In other building fire accident happened. People are shouting, crying for help. Are we going to rush to that building without thinking about our own safety? How many want to go there without thinking? We are not. You want to go? That's great. Influenced by movies. Hero got injuries, multiple injuries, multiple whatever gunshot injuries also, but still he's trying to help others. And we enjoy it, we appreciate it. Because it's a movie, at the end of the day, hero will be fine. Nothing will happen to him. Even after so many injuries, he'll be fine. But in real life, it is not going to happen. You always think about your own safety first. Entering into any dangerous situation blindly is going to cost your life. Okay, nobody's life is precious than our own life. Nobody's. We should take care of our own life first. To help somebody, you be safe first. You should be safe to save somebody. You cannot enter into the same situation and you cannot be second patient. You cannot put burden on rescuers. You are safe here to be here. If you can enter and come back safely, you can. It all depends on situation to situation. Always think about your own safety. Prioritize your life. If something happens to you in the process of helping somebody, the person whom you save is also not going to help your family. He might give you some money one time, but after that, who is going to take care of your family? Nobody will take care of your family or yourself. So please think about your own safety first before entering into ATC. Please be accident scenario. If patient is on the middle of highway, you cannot just sit on the highway and do something to the patient. Other way we might come and hit you. You have to take care of your own safety. Then comes the person next to you at that moment, your colleague, your friend, whoever it may, take care of their safety. Next priority goes to patient. If this light changes patient, this mic is danger. I can remove patient away from danger or danger away from the patient. Both conditions I can provide safety to the patient. It depends on scenario. Again, the example of any accident only. You can remove the patient from highway and shift him to safer place. You remove patient away from the danger. And I can divert the traffic. I can ask somebody to divert the traffic, the vehicles which are coming this way, and ask them to go this way. So that danger is diverted. Okay, it depends. For that you require manpower. This is how you use safety to the patient. Then comes bystanders. Who are bystanders? Except patient and rescuer, remaining all are bystanders only. Most of us want to just see what happened and what is going on. You don't want to do anything. You will be there, standing there and looking at the patient, looking at somebody doing something. Those people are called bystanders. In India, many accident happens are not till date. It's a date also. People will park their vehicle 2-3 kilometers away. They are walking just to see what happened. Out of concern, of course. Concern, maybe curiosity or something. But they'll come, but they won't do anything. They just see, they pass a few comments, then they'll leave. They leave fine. People will stay there only. That is the problem for us. We need to request the bystander. It is a request. You will not get license to shout at somebody only because you are doing some first aid to someone. You should respect everybody. You don't know whom you are talking to. At that moment, who is in front of you, you don't know. You should respect each and every person. Sir, please disperse. Let me handle this. Please disperse. Let patient get some fresh air. This is a request, yes, request. Don't shout, don't scold anybody. Okay? I'm not saying everybody will listen to you. At least half of the crowd is understanding your request and going. Then at least the access to the patient will be easier for the ambulance. If ambulance comes, they have to park somewhere else. Because so many people are here. They cannot come closer to the patient. Okay? Try to understand that scenario and request them to disperse. That is how you take care of the safety of them. And otherwise also, for example, any poisonous gas leakage is happening. It is not safe for anybody. If you know it is poisonous gas, you should inform them about this is poisonous gas. Don't stay here. Please go. You are just giving information. You are not forcing anybody. There are nobody to force. Just inform them. Let them listen. Okay. Then you need to enter the case scenario. Then once you enter the scene, you need to be calm, composed, and methodical, and quick. What it means, you need to be composed. You cannot be very sensitive. Everybody is normal there. You entered and you started crying. You started crying looking at the patient. Then you are not the right person to be a first responder. I'm not saying that is wrong, but if you know about yourself, you know how sensitive you are. You cannot look at blood, so don't enter. If you enter, you should be calm, composed, and look at the patient's condition. Take quick actions, call for help. You should know what next. Everybody is worried. If anything goes wrong, we are all worried. But what to do to reduce that? What to do now? give him some relaxation. That things you should think. If you are tense, you cannot think. You should be relaxed. I already told you emergency is always emergency for the patient, not for you, not for the rescuer. If you think that way, you can work. For you, it is normal scenario. For him, it is emergency. Let him take tension. You are there to handle it. Okay? Don't go by these emotions there. Okay? Safety factors. Wherever you go to help, you think about all these things depending on the scenario where you are. Smoke, flames, there is a smoke flame, there is a danger. Electrical wires, beware of electricity. We all know, very dangerous. Okay? Even if you are a first responder, electric shock is dangerous. It is no exceptions. You need to be careful. Risk of explosion, be it be gas cylinder, be it be any other chemical explosion. You need to be prepared and you need to take precautions to handle it. Roadside dangers, as we already discussed about highway accident. Highways are not safe for anybody. Highways are not the places where you can sit there and do some first aid. You cannot do it. And potential violence cases. Be extra careful in cases because in violence, what happens? There are two parties fighting each other. If you help somebody, party A, party B will become enemy to you automatically. So they might attack you as well. You need to be extra careful in those situations. Till that time you are not sure that you can handle both the parties, you should not enter. Okay. Warning rocks and bricks, building collapse, very dangerous. It happens gradually. You need to be extra careful. Water body floods, it's a natural calamity. Nobody can actually do anything in this. It's no point. You don't have to like swim in that flooding water and help somebody. We cannot do it. There will be so many objects coming. Whatever, sharp objects may be coming. That they are very dangerous. In that scenario, you be at home, take care of your own family. That's it. You don't have to come out. And unstable structures, you need to think about this. It all depends on the scene where you are. Accordingly, you need to think about all these risk factors. Okay? There are few ethics to be followed. As a first responder, you should take consent of the patient. What is consent? What is consent? Consent is permission. Only because today you are spending full day and you are going to learn first aid techniques, you cannot force. You cannot force somebody to accept your help. You can always offer the answer. I did first aid. Do you want me to help? And most of the time you have to get an answer as no. No, because nobody wants to take risk. Because you are not a doctor. If I am the patient, I say no, don't do anything. Please take me to hospital. Please take me to hospital. That is a common thing. Basically, see, for me, I know my injury and I know Andhra hospital is close by. Being in this village, you also know. You know, within 5-10 minutes you can reach the hospital also. So why you wanted somebody else, some random person to do something? Mostly it is no. That there should not be any problem with that. You should not take it to your heart. You say yes sir, okay, I got for help and take you to hospital. Taking them to hospital is also first aid. You don't have to actually do something. It all depends on the patient. But who can give you consent? Whom you can ask actually? The person who is conscious, oriented, and adult. An adult who is conscious, oriented can give you a sample. The person who is already unconscious is not going to tell you anything. You consider it as a yes and help. The person who collapsed, you cannot ask him, get up, tell me what to do now. He will not. You don't have to do that. You directly help. If the patient is disoriented, is altered, you can directly help. If patient is minor, who is minor? There are so many minors sitting here. Below 18 years old. Minors, you need to take permission from parents or guardian. At school parents, teachers become their guardians automatically. You should take permission from them. If nobody is around, you can directly help them. Okay, that is about consent, asking for permission.
Does the scenario
There is something called Good Samaritan law, rightly mentioned. It is there to protect first responders. As per this, if you help somebody on road, there should not be like nobody will force you to reveal your identity, your name, address before. Now also police will ask, but now you have an option to say no. Sir, I don't want to give my details. As a first responder, I did my job. Okay, that is one thing. Another thing, if you take somebody to a hospital, private hospital, the private hospital should not ask you to pay the bills. You did your job by shifting the patient. In case of emergency, there should not be any private government. Any private hospital, they should give you first aid and save your life. The monetary things comes later on. I am not saying they will give everything free of cost. They will save your life first, then they ask you for money. That is the patient's responsibility or relative, not the first responders. Only because I am taking you to hospital, I am not liable to pay your bills. Before it used to happen, you what you pay. Till the day you are not paying, you be here. That should not happen. As per Good Samaritan law, it is all covered. This is like in place since 2016. 16. Today, 2023. Still, most of us doesn't know about it. It is there to protect ourselves as a first responder and to encourage people to help others. Few years ago, before 2016 or maybe a decade, if any accident happens, I wanted to help, but I am hesitant. Because I know if I enter there, there will be so many things. Other complications will be there. I'll have to go to police station also maybe if they call. Yes, as a citizen of India, we should all help police. I'm not saying we should not help them. But how many times? How many times you can attend? Only because you help somebody, you cannot go to police station for 3 times, 4 times. As in they cannot call you. And they cannot doubt how it happened, how this accident happened. Have you witnessed? Most of the time you witness also. And mostly you don't witness. Accident happened after some time you reached. You don't know how it happened. But there will be questions saying that how it happened, whose mistake. Those things we are not bothered. And you should not bother with all these things. Our priority should be the life of the patient. If it is required, something is required to save somebody's life, you should do it. And you are covered under Good Samaritan law. Central government of India is decided to give away few awards to the best first responders throughout the year. Throughout the year, they will see the situation. There will be so many accidents happening. In that situation, if somebody is there to help, those will get some rewards and certifications, something they are planning to, just to encourage people to help others. Because as I told you in the initial remark only, we cannot move around with the paramedics, ambulance service or doctors. Wherever we are going, we are just going. Okay, we are going to so many places every day. Emergencies might happen anywhere. There is nothing called emergency should happen here only. Might happen at your place, might happen at your workplace also, shopping mall also, theatre also, anywhere, wherever it may be. In that situation, person next to you is going to be your savior. So that savior has to be protected as well. Okay. And there is something called confidentiality, which is very, very difficult. Nowadays, we have a habit of spreading the news. We have a habit. I'm not saying you only me also. Yeah, whatever it is, whatever we get, the post, and we just transmit to our groups. It's a regular practice. So in this situation, maintaining this is going to be very, very difficult. But yes, you should maintain it. When it comes to health-related information, it is private information. The first responder is telling you, thinking that if he becomes unconscious, there is nobody to inform about his medical condition to the doctor. That's why he is telling you the information. Sir, I am diabetic, I am hypertensive, otherwise I have HIV. He is telling you to save it. You cannot go and inform everybody in the colony or at the workplace, you know, he is having HIV positive. Understood? You are not supposed. If you want to reveal, you will reveal. But you are nobody to reveal somebody's health condition. If I am going to ask you all come here and explain about your medical conditions, most of you or major issues. It's everybody's thing. But I am not going to discuss about my illness. I will discuss only with my doctor because I am going to get some help from him. In the hospital also, if you go to OPD, it is one-to-one. Even nursing staff also not alone. You are going to talk to your doctor one-to-one. If required, he will call. Baba, injection do, ye do, wo do. That is later on. But initially, you are talking to the doctor only. He is the only person whom we are going to reveal our medical issues because we need help. Maybe your partner in future, like once you get married, your wife or husband, your spouse will get to know about your health because they are part of your life. They are taking care of you. And maybe after certain age, your kids may know about your health. That is within the family. Because after some time, your kids are going to take care of you. The tablets and the regular hospital visits. So they have fair knowledge of your health. That too after your consent. They are going to take information from you, not from others. So that confidentiality is very, very important. Please maintain privacy of information. Whatever you are going to get during the process, you should keep it with you and inform that to only treating doctor whom the patient is going to. Okay. In personal hygiene and health, you should take care of your own health first. As I already told you, you should be safe and healthy to save somebody. If you are having some injury, if you are having some infection, patient will not get infected because of you. Understood? You maintain your health. There is something called Pratham. Whatever I discussed till now is on this slide. Okay, this is called important Pratham. Protect oneself and avoid from danger. That is about safety. Then reassure and comfort everyone. The same, it's your job. There are so many people who are very negative there. They say, Baba, ye to bachega nahi. Who is asking you? They say, nahi chal paayega shayad. Pair move gaya. Try to understand. People are like that. You need to tell them, relax, Baba, you are an orthopedic. Don't give conclusions. There are situations where completely gone also treated. There are situations in my life, like last 15 years, I have seen patients where they have multiple injuries. Being a professional, I myself thought that he is not going to be survived. But after 3 months, he comes back to me, saying that thank you sir, you helped me. The person who looks very normal, you think you are confident that he is going to be fine, but he dies after 2 days, 3 days in hospital. Life is so unpredictable. You cannot say anything. The person who is looking absolutely healthy might collapse. He looks healthy, but inside what is going on, we don't know. Okay, you need to be extra careful. Then assess the situation and condition of the casualties. Okay. Deal with life threats. We are going to teach how to deal with life-threatening conditions. Help casualties with initial treatment and alert emergency services. This is very, very important. Entire steps are there. Like this, calling for help. If you miss that step, you are going to lose that help. You should call for help 100%. Alone we cannot do anything. We cannot maintain the patient. We cannot control the damage. We need help. Sometimes we can manage. Manage safety, professional help, parents. There are 3 major types of emergencies. Yeah. We will be saved because you are the fastest point. You did your best. See again, that's why I am telling you all the technique what you use is also important. Tomorrow you should be technically right. Whatever we are going to do, that's what I told you all in the beginning only. Whatever we are going to teach you as per the standard practice and risk free. If it happens well, it helps. Otherwise, it's not going to harm him also. If it helps, that's fine. If not, it's not going to harm. Those things we are going to do.
They can't sue the person.
No. That's what. If you do some blender, for example, in accident cases, you are not supposed to give anything to drink. People around India, across also, drink in an unconscious state, which is killing the patients. In an unconscious state, you cannot ask somebody to drink something. You cannot forcefully feed them. That is a mistake. Those kinds of mistakes cannot be covered. Understood? That's what I am saying. To do this job, you need to have a proper training, you should have a proper skill. Then only you can do. Randomly you cannot just do. होगा तो होगा नहीं तो देखा जाए. No. Skill is important. Technicalities takes a very important part. See, now today I am telling you don't feed anything by mouth in an unconscious state. This is standing instruction given by instructor. But tomorrow, if you are doing the same mistake and causing somebody's death, then how somebody will help? Okay, you should not be technically wrong. You should do things which are acceptable. Doing CPR in unconscious, unresponsive patient is acceptable. The protocol what we are going to practice is AHA, American Heart Association, globally accredited protocols. So wherever you do it in India or abroad, you can always say as per AHA, this is the protocol, exactly what I follow. You can always defend yourself. If you don't know anything, people used to do different things. CPR are also different methods. People used to punch. People used to punch here, then back also. They do as per their own wish. Those things cannot be like, you cannot cover up for all those mistakes. You need to be proper. If you are right, you did your job as per the standard, then if he is dying, he will die. We cannot stop him dying. If he dies, then on we say, I just did my bleeding control technique. I just tried to stop his bleeding. Nothing else I did. Okay. Yeah.
We're talking about CPR. Example, what Danny was trying to ask is that when you're giving the CPR, sometimes the chest cord does break, right?
Yeah. Rapes. That time you should not stop. Taking the rapes is very common.
But then suppose if you see the patient, but then that person will say that this guy is broken.
No, it won't work like that because once you save the lives, healing that rib fracture is very simple. It is a very simple problem compared to cardiac arrest. In the process of CPR, the rib fracture is very common. Evidence is there. In elderly patients, especially elderly, aged, the bone fractures will definitely happen. But your priority is to start the heart. You are not worried about ribs there because your patient is already dead. In that situation, what is important for us? The heart. So you don't have to worry about that. The protocol it is there also. Rib fractures are very common, especially in elderly patients. Still, you should not stop the resuscitation effort. Once it is started, if luckily he is back, then automatically that fracture can be healed. The fracture can be healed in the hospital level. It should not be a problem. If you don't worry like that, people see thing is nowadays. That's what I already told. Something called consent. It is conscious. You are asking, you are offering. Only you are doing something only if he says yes. That way you are clear. I have taken the permission, sir. Do you want me to do this? If he says yes, I am doing. Then he has permitted me to do. The consent is there. Unconscious patient is called implied consent, but we are assuming that he may require our help, and we are doing it. Both the cases we are fine. But the techniques, what you follow, it should not be wrong. Technically, it should not be wrong. If you are wrong, you say that I just tried whatever I know, I just tried to help. But because of your wrong techniques, you kill that person, then it's very difficult. Understood?
Very often happens that good Samaritan law does not try to keep our brother the person is not suppose a normal citizen who has not done the course, he has done C.
That's what I'm telling you. See, even though you are attending training, you still be considered as a normal community member. This is just a brief knowledge of the techniques. Okay. Again, the same. My answer is same. If you are not sure, if you don't know what to do, you should not do. See, it's a life. That's what I do. You are sure, you are 100%, then you are doing. You cannot experiment. You cannot say, I thought it would happen like that. Try to control that situation because we all want to help. But if you don't know, if I don't know what to do, if I don't know what exactly to be done, then I'm not entering. I'm standing there, calling for help, helping him to go to hospital. That we say the risk is only we can adapt. Because Good Samaritan doesn't mean you do all the mistakes and say it is as per Good Samaritan. No, it is not. What have you done? Patient fractured this limb, lower limb. You are lifting him with the same limb. Pre-arrival instruction, what we call the paramedics will tell you, especially in accident, what we say, don't feed him water, don't move unnecessarily because he might have cervical injury. Unnecessary movement has to be stopped. Okay, those who can, if any bleeding, try to control with the cloth because you may not have the specs. You'll have to use your handkerchiefs or something. You don't have gloves also, you should not touch directly. You ask patient to hold it. The situation that heat has to be given to it. If bleeding is going on, please hold it tight. Direct pressure. Those things, yes, you are right. That can be done. Our people also will tell you to do the things which are beyond your range. Simple things. Because people what people generally do. Action happens. Yeah.
You said consent is important with someone, but if that person is conscious and he is in a state where it's very emergent to help him, and ambulance will take that, but he says no, then what?
It's his decision. It's his decision. If he is conscious, oriented, adult, it's his decision. You cannot force someone. You can always try to convince, sir, it is very important, let me do. You try to convince, but you cannot force. Even if it is very urgent, it is urgent to him. As I already told you all, it is urgent or emergency to the patient, not to you. So he is saying no, no. There is famous dialogue, no means no. There is no other meaning to it. Okay? You will have to follow few things. See, we want to help. We want to help. If you are not ready to accept my help, I cannot force you. I am very much confident about my capabilities. I know what I can do. But you don't know me. How will you trust? How will you trust me? Nowadays, there is something called which doctors are saying. You go to particular doctor. There are other doctors in the hospital, but you don't go. You go to that particular doctor. You want to meet him only. It happens with everybody. You have your priorities, right? You cannot get treated by anybody. You have your priorities. Everybody is having their own family doctor, or you are going to the single doctor. Since generations, one family is going to the doctor only. There are things, trust matters. Qualification wise, skill wise, all the doctors are same. Only thing whether we have trust on them or not. Same applies here also. If somebody is saying no clearly, don't do anything. But yes, not doing anything that doesn't mean you don't have to call for help. Calling for help is, but at times this is also going to happen. You call for help. After the ambulance reaches there, patient is saying who called you. I don't want you. It happens many times. You thought he would require help, but he is saying I'm fine, I don't want ambulance. I'll go by my own. Because entering into ambulance is still phobia. The stigma is still there in the community. Entering into the ambulance, if any ambulance comes to anybody's house, especially in villages, there will be so many people coming there and asking, Baba, what happened? What happened? That will be there for the next 10 days also. They'll come and check with you, Baba, what happened? It is out of concern, but people don't want that. They say it's a silent talk, I don't talk, just switch up, otherwise you wait there, I'll come. You wait there, 4 houses. Then we will have to follow. Try to understand. They want help, but they don't want others to know about it. And that is their personal choice. I don't have any right to comment on it. You are calling me for help, but you don't want me to come to your place. You will come to the place where nobody can understand where you are going and whom you are going to meet. So things are different. Always be open. You ask them for permission if they are saying okay, do something. They are not saying okay, we don't have to do anything without their permission. If you do something without their permission, then they can sue you also. You said no, and they did something which infected your injury. Infected because of something else, but you can put them on that person because he didn't listen to you. Okay, in the hospital also, no doctor, nurse has right to force. Every patient has right to refuse. Family is taking me to hospital. After going there, doctor is saying, I'll have to give you injection. Simple injection. Simple injection. Kids can relate to it. Even we at our age group also, most of the people are worried about injection. Small injection. We are afraid of that. We don't want to take it. We don't want to take injection. We are saying clearly to the doctor, no. If you are a minor, your parents are forcing you to take, you don't have a choice. But once you are adult, legally you have a right to say no. That injection is important. You have a high fever. You have a high fever, for example, doctor wants to give injection. You are saying no, doctor give me tablet. He is telling you, hey, if you take tablet, it will take time. If I give you injection, it will be fine. But still you are saying no, doctor, I'll bear everything, but give me tablet. It happens. Go to hospital, you can see. People don't listen. They say they only decide what to be given. Patient generally takes control over everything at times. They say no, don't give me that. My doctor told me something else. They have their doctor somewhere else. They force this doctor to follow the doctor's advice there, which is not right. I will do job, I will do the treatment, I will give you the treatment as per my knowledge. I am not going to depend on others and give you. And tomorrow if something goes wrong, I am responsible. So try to avoid this. There is like for example, even if your doctor is very famous and all, still it is not here. Never ever ask the doctor who is treating you to follow his comments. Because they don't know each other. Something goes wrong, he will say, no, I never said that. He is not going to take responsibility, because you are in my hospital. I am treating you. I will treat as per my skills. If you don't like my treatment, you please do. It is as simple as that. Okay? So time now are 10:15. We can have a break. Okay, we continue. Okay, this is about it. There are three major types of emergencies what we listed out here. We are going to discuss about each and everything. The most common things what we listed. If you have any further doubts, you can always ask. Okay? Am I audible? Right, check it. Right, standing at one place. Okay. So, medical emergencies. There are so many things listed out here. I want to listen from you all. What do you know about medical emergencies? Can you all list out few medical emergencies? You can read from that slide also. Don't mind. So I wanted you all to participate and be active. Read from that slide. Which one is the most dangerous? Whatever chest pain, is that? Chest pain could cause stroke actually. Yeah, see, these are all interrelated. One emergency, one medical condition can lead to any other medical condition. That is accident. Okay, these are all very, very dangerous. If right treatment is not given at the right time, then everything can lead to death. Chest pain. We'll discuss about chest pain first. Okay, the chest pain cases and snake bite. In these two conditions, there is something called fear of death. Fear of death. The concept called fear of death. People are dying because they think they are going to die. They are afraid that they are going to die. Not because of actual disease. You can make minor attack into major attack. If you take stress, if you take tension, that will become major issue. Okay, not all chest pains are major. It will slight discomfort at times. With rest, it will be fine. But if you are stressed, if you are like over enthusiastic and you want to go to here and there, recognize an emergency? How to recognize chest pain? How? Left side pain. You say, yeah, fine. And that's what else? What is the difference between signs and symptoms? What is sign and symptom? What is sign and what is symptom? Sorry? Signs what we can see. Symptoms what patient tells you. Sign is what you can see and symptom what patient will tell you. Okay. This is the Lewis sign holding heart like this, left side. This is a universal sign of chest pain. Adult patient. This is the universal sign of chest pain. If somebody holding like this, should turn down. It is not confirmed. Somebody just holding like this. You cannot consider it as a chest pain. It is confirmed. There are other factors. Chest pain, in the chest, basically left side pain, radiating to the shoulder, back of the leg, and shoulder pain. Pain with radiation is always right. Okay. So we will continue after the break.